bring up our mayor, Debbie Holland.
I'm going to defer to our program.
Okay,
Unless
we're ready. Okay. And it'll be the month, we'll be doing the 2012 year-end review with Debbie Holland and Michael.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Our city manager, David Mitchell, couldn't be here this morning, so once again, we get the third string presenter. But it's easy to talk about what a great year we've had here in Hutto. I'm going to talk about kind of what we did in 2012, and then the mayor's going to come up and talk about what we're doing and moving forward in 2013. So just to kick things off, many of y'all, well, first of all, at your chair is the 2012 year in review, so it goes into a lot more detail of what we're going to be presenting on this morning. Also at your chair is At the Helm, which is the monthly newsletter we do specifically for the Power Breakfast to kind of update the community on specific things going on in Hutto. And you can see there's a year in review in that, so I'm kind of going to be weaving in and out of both documents. But the year in review document itself is built around the Strategic Guide 2030. That's the document that the City Council adopted back in 2007. And when they did that document, they were looking out to the year 2030. They envisioned what they wanted Hutto to look like in the year 2030. And going through that process, they really sat down with just a large piece of paper and started drawing pictures of what they envisioned Hutto to look like. I'm sure a grocery store is probably the first thing on there, as everybody wants that. But they were very forward-thinking. They looked at the new city hall. They looked at new parks and programs and all sorts of things in the community were listed on that. And born out of that dream session were these strategic guide tenets. So we have, I believe, 13 tenets on different strategic guide policies, from leadership to quality of life, all the way down to infrastructure. And so those are the tenets that really guide what we do as staff. Council has adopted these tenets. They've given us some direction, and we use this now in every decision that we make with the city. Everything that we pursue, if it doesn't fit within the council's strategic guide, then we have to go back and ask council, are you sure you really want us to be doing this, because it's not really set out in your vision. The first one on there, though, is the leadership policy. And leadership policy, and as city council, they really want to have some framework for how they led the community and working with other organizations, and they've done that very well in establishing the quarterly coordination committee meetings. That's where the representatives from the city council, the school district, now the EDC, as well as the Hutto Fire and Rescue are coming together quarterly, the leadership of those organizations, and talking about different community issues. So it's been very beneficial to share those ideas. It's been very good in building support for one another's organizations. We also completed this year the 7th year of the Hutto Citizens University. I believe 4 of our city council members out of the 7 have actually been graduates of the Hutto Citizens University. And then Tuesday night we kicked off the 2013 class of HCU. So it's a very exciting program. If you haven't had a chance to go through it, definitely recommend that you be able to do that in the future, because we go into a lot of detail about the different aspects of city government. Each department will have you out at their facilities kind of talking about what they do, what they're thinking about long term. We have a couple of members of our HCU class here this morning as well. One thing that council did late in 2012, and it kind of goes back to that quarterly coordination committee meeting, is they established a marketing task force for the community. So again, they pulled together representatives from the different organizations and wanted that group to really sit down and focus on how can we market Hutto, not only here within the community, but in the region, through the state, and even the nation. It'll connect the quality schools that we have with the approaches that the Economic Development Corporation has done, and put all those efforts together into one package so that we can again market Hutto throughout the state. Under quality of life, we had a lot of successes in that area as well this year. It feels like it was a long time ago. It was about a year ago exactly almost that we implemented the single stream recycling. If you live here in Hutto, before you had a little 18-gallon tub that you could put out every other week, and we got complaints because we couldn't take cardboard in that, and that tub quickly overflowed, and if it was a windy day, which it often is in Hutto, that tub would be halfway down the block. So we launched the single stream program where we gave the big rollout cards for that, and people just seem to love it. Our numbers from our citizen survey showed a huge increase in the satisfaction with the recycling program. We're able to take cardboard and some of those items now that we weren't able to accept before, so it's been a huge success for us and moves us closer to the council's vision of having a 100% recycling rate by the year 2030. The library, with the work of Antonora Architects, completed the library master plan. a big project and determining how to best utilize the space that we have at our current location, but also planning for the future. So they looked at different strategies for expanding that current facility to meet the programming needs of the community, not only today, but moving forward as well. We've also put a great emphasis on moving back to downtown. Downtown of a community is obviously the heart of the community. In 2009, the council adopted the Heart of Hutto master plan, which kind of outlines the infrastructure plan for downtown. But we've really placed an emphasis with the help of the chamber and some of our other community partners in bringing events back to downtown. So we had the 27th Old Time Days.
Very good.
Again, it was downtown this year.
Forget about the mud bugs.
I was about to mention that. Chamber also did, for the first time this year, a crawfish boil in conjunction with the Farley Street grand opening back in April. And so that was a great event, and they're going to continue to do that each year now. But we also had Old Town Christmas down there in December, a great event, again, 1,500 to 2,000 people maybe downtown, with a movie down there, so a great event there. And then with our second Saturdays and Treats on E Street, just a lot of activity that we're trying to gather in our downtown to support not only the local businesses, but your town's community is kind of built in your downtown as well. Another thing that Parks was able to do with Keep Hutto Beautiful is they constructed the Hutto entryway sign on Highway 79 as you're coming into town. That was built using money from the governor's office through the Governor's Achievement Award. Keep Hutto Beautiful won that award in 2010. And then, you know how TechStop works. Sorry, I think TechStop here. But they took a little while to get that project off the ground, but we're very happy with it. It's a great project and a great asset to our community. Again, helping to build our identity. We also have the organizational development policy. That's more of an internal policy that we use as staff to build the organizational culture of Hutto. Two big hires, though, this year with the hiring or the promotion of David Mitchell to city manager, who was previously assistant city manager, and then our new police chief, Peter Sheets, who joined us from the city of Bryan. Under our service delivery policy, one of the biggest things that we're still working to get off the ground, but it's going to be a great asset to our development community, is the launch of My Permit Now. It's a web-based development program where any developer or builder can have access to all of their information on our website, submit plans, get their reviews done, everything's checked off online, pay their fees online in the future. So it's a great tool for our development community and for our builders are really looking forward to getting some of that off the ground. Our fiscal and budgetary policy, being that my background, I feel this is one of the most important of the strategic guide policies because it really sets the tone for how we are, that we set a sound financial base for our city. Some of the things we did for this last year were continuing to issue bonds that were approved back in 2009 for construction of the Hutto Family YMCA, Nager Lane project. That the design of that's coming to completion. We're going to start construction in the spring on that. The FM 1660 South Sidewalk and some other projects. So we're very much looking forward to those projects. We're very much growing around here. You can see the different projects, and there's always dirt turned up somewhere because somebody's putting in something new. We also refinanced some of our bonds from 2003 that the city had issued, and we saved about $350,000 in doing so. And we're hoping to refund some additional bonds here in March. So again, saving about $300,000 with those. So again, looking forward to making sure that we're spending the taxpayers' money wisely. Under the public safety policy, one of the big things that we did there was transition one of our existing officer positions to a community resource officer. Many of y'all probably know Susan Glass. She's been in the community for a number of years, but it was kind of a natural fit for her to move into that community resource officer position. That position would be somebody that works closely with a lot of the civic groups in town and businesses, helping to do what we can to prevent some of the crimes from happening in the first place. Under our mobility policy, we worked to draft a plan for safe routes to school. Everybody knows that a lot of the funding, just as it has been with the schools, has been cut for some of those programs. We've identified sidewalk projects that are ready to go that we've worked with the ISD on getting those projects lined up so that when that funding is restored, we feel like we have projects that are very viable and ready to go to move forward for construction. I already mentioned construction of Farley Street and the impact that that's had downtown. And then last year we did the big push. It was actually the end of 2011. We did the big push to get the signatures and support for the FM 685 funding. And so we've continued to work with TechStop and design of that through 2012. We'll be ready to break construction on the 685 improvements and raising that bridge towards the later part of the summer. Under the education policy, a huge checkoff was made this year to this with the first payment to the East Williamson County Higher Education Campus. That project, again, was a direct collaboration of the ISD, the school district, and the EDC, as well as the city. And we recognize the long-term benefit that will have to the community. So each of the organizations, in addition to doing what they can to support the project, have made financial contributions to make that project a reality here in Hutto. Under the growth guidance policy really sets a framework for how the city is going to grow. It kind of sets the parameters for our planning and zoning. But the city council adopted a housing policy earlier this year. Again, it goes back to their council vision, which is on the last of this. When it talks about diversity, we're not only talking about diversity in people, but we're talking about diversity in housing products and diversity in businesses and things like that. So the adoption of that housing policy really helped us to diversify, to not just have the residential homes that kind of have popped up all over Hutto in the last 10 years, but to get some multifamilies, some duplexes, different options like that as well for our community. We also annexed approximately 57 acres along SH 130, again preparing for that growth that we expect to accompany the campus, and as well as just the opening of 130, because now 130 runs all the way from north of Georgetown all the way to I-10, just to the east of San Antonio. So we expect that roadway to continue to be utilized and for development to continue to occur along that. So we've annexed the acreage along that roadway to have better control, to make sure that, again, what is developed out there is going to be something that we want out there for the next 30, 40, 50 years instead of just a metal building or anything like that. In conjunction with the SH 130 annexation, so we've also extended water and wastewater lines, which really gets into our infrastructure policy, which is the next one, and economic development. We've extended the Brushy Creek wastewater interceptors. What's under construction right now, you can kind of see them boring underneath FM 685 currently. That line's going to run all the way from the college campus to lift station in the Enclave subdivision and provide service to that whole corridor. Early last spring, we completed the construction at County Road 108 water line. So that was a 16-inch water line that, again, is going to serve that entire development and future development along that area as well. Along with infrastructure, we completed the wastewater master plan. We actually have our design firm here to help with that. We expect council to adopt that here in February, but that's been about a 1.5-year long process to again strategically plan for our infrastructure needs moving forward on the wastewater. Another economic development policy accomplishment was the launching of the Downtown Incentive Program. This is a program where if you build in downtown in the 1911 Historic District, you can get a rebate on your property taxes, you can get your sales tax rebated, and we're also going to help you by waiving some of your development fees. So it's a great incentive, again, to help restore some of the businesses to our downtown area. Just as Mr. Ramos talked about the legislature coming up, we have a legislative policy that kind of addresses what we do as a city. And again, going back to that quarterly coordination committee meeting, we've been working with the different organizations to adopt a legislative agenda that's good for the entire community. We don't want to have something that the city was doing be in conflict with the EDC or the school district. So what we're working to do is to bring all those organizations together and have one joint legislative agenda that we all rally behind. We can all go down to Austin and support one another in that legislative agenda as well. Come on up here and talk about 2013.
Happy New Year to everyone. Before I start talking about 2013, I just want to say a special thanks to Patty Gilmore and Seth Gibson, who put this annual review together. I think that, as always, the quality of work that the entire staff puts out, but Patty and Seth maybe in particular, because they work very well together. This is a look into this past year, but it's also the window into the future for the city. And as Michael was talking about with our strategic guide, and back in '06 when the council literally had this huge piece of paper that went all the way across the room, and we started drawing pictures, Some of the pictures that we drew, yes, of course, it was a grocery store, and we are still working on that. But we won't get into that today. Recycling was huge, and I'm really proud that we have gotten to the single stream recycling. It has helped. The other thing that, and I pulled my map out not too long ago and looked at it because we actually had it printed up in one of the original strategic guides, and it had community college. And I just sort of chuckled when I saw that, because we had no idea that we were going to so surpass that in such a quick period of time, and actually have Temple College here and TSTC. So that is, in a short period of time, being able to see some of those ideas that we had really come to fruition. Micah hit on a lot of the things that we are going to be doing in 2013, and of course none of us have a crystal ball to know exactly what it's going to look like, but the things that we know are going to happen. Oh, sorry, Chief. Everybody pulls weeds on Farley Street. We are a hands-on staff, right? No, the YMCA is going to be, click it, Patty. The YMCA construction hopefully will be started this spring, and the opening for that probably won't be until early 2014, and I know that has been delayed a little bit, but we are all really excited about that. And of course, what that's going to bring to the community is an indoor pool and some cardio rooms and just recreational amenities that we don't have right here in Hutto. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of the folks that move into town don't realize, that we don't have a lot of the things here that they are expecting. And maybe they haven't quite done their homework. They're these first-time homeowners, and they move into a community of 18 to 20,000 and just assume that all of this stuff is already here, and yet we're just working as fast as we can to make those things happen. But of course, it all takes money, so we have to be very diligent about the way we spend the money. Michael mentioned about the wastewater treatment plant, and that's one of the things that very soon Council is going to be making some really pretty tough decisions on, in terms of how do we address the wastewater needs that the community has now and in the future, and with the growth. We've basically got two options. Are we going to expand the current plant, or do we go ahead and move forward with the construction of the new plant with the property that's down on 1660 South that we purchased several years ago? So that'll be coming up very soon. Then, actually, Michael, you talked about most of this stuff already. That's okay. I appreciate it. SH-130 utilities, we partnered with the EDC last year or so in making that decision, and recognizing the need for having those infrastructure facilities in place. And I think that once that got started, I know the EDC office started having calls about, what can we do, what is available. And of course, with Temple College and the construction occurring, that has been a visual cue to the people that travel up and down SH-130. So we're really excited about what all is going to be available, and there's lots of different types of properties available. There is, most of you probably know it as, maybe it's the Hutto 400, or it's the crossings at Carmel Creek, but it's the property that's on both sides of SH-130 south of 79. And we've been able to bring the infrastructure to that spot, and again, with that wastewater treatment pipeline that will go over to the enclave, that is going to really make that area much more quickly developable. So we are excited about that. Of course, U-Check's opening in the summer, late summer, for fall classes will be a huge event for Hutto and for Temple College and for TSDC in the year 2013. And Micah mentioned about all of the transportation, and we've got, I think it's one of the signs that you see when you're driving around and know that there's activity going on. We've got houses that are being built. We don't have any new subdivision plats that have come in yet, but what's happening is they're finishing out the subdivisions that have been on the books. And I think that that's a good thing for us to get all of those homes built. And at that point, then I think we will start seeing the new plats coming in. Now, the new plats that are coming in will then fall under our UDC, which we passed this past year, and there will be, we just did some tweaks on some of the plans for what the requirements are for the home building, and that will be a very positive thing for us all. Mayor Lane is going to be starting, and that's been a problematic little county road for a number of years, and it's going to help the Hutto Elementary for sure. It will give us a more pleasant drive east-west that's just north of 79, and then of course 685, and that's one of those projects that's going to take longer than any of us would like, but when it's finished, it will be one of those things that we can be very proud of. Again, I think you'll see hopefully some sidewalks on 1660 South. We've identified a lot of sidewalks that need to go in, and we're just kind of prioritizing, and anytime there's some grant money that's available, we will be applying for that at every opportunity, because again, we want to be careful about the pressures that we place on all of our citizens in terms of the payment of taxes, and I think that that's something that the council and staff are all very mindful of. We've got, of course, we'll have a new EDC president that will come in hopefully sometime in the late spring, and that'll be exciting, and they'll have all kinds of work cut out for them to fit, first of all, to fit the rather large pair of shoes. Not that Scott had big feet, but he certainly has a reputation. And then there's a couple of things that we've got going on, and again, kudos to Patty for really kind of spearheading, and most of you all know Patty, but her biggest asset, and the list of assets is really long, but one of her biggest ones is she loves to launch programs, and she's great at doing that. We've got Hutto Has Heart is an organization that has kind of gone in and out of existence in Hutto. It was sort of basically it was the Ministerial Alliance, and between Patty and Chief Sheets, it is now a very cohesive group of pastors from the community. The school district has taken a big part in pulling that together, and then I think that we'll be using Suzanne Glass as our community resource officer to work in identifying and helping the citizens here in town that need some assistance, and I'm just really excited about that particular project that's going on. Lastly, this evening we have Hutto Matters, which is our second Hutto Matters that we had one back in October. It's like a quarterly town hall meeting with a little bit of a different twist. It's very interactive with the attendance. We will be reviewing our year in review, but primarily it's an opportunity to hear from the citizens or business owners or people that are interested in Hutto, and it's all of the staff, all the department heads will be there. So it's an opportunity, if you've got a question about something that's going on or something that's not happening or something, or just a question, you can bring it up at that meeting, and the answer will either be provided for you, or we will get back with you on that. And that's another, Patty Gilmore's little fingers are all over that particular event, and I think that it's going to be, the first one was successful. I think we met a lot of needs and identified some kind of problem areas, and are looking forward to what's going to happen tonight. So that's at the council chambers tonight at 7 o'clock. Does anybody have any questions about Hutto in 2012 or 2013?
Let me add to the Q&A part of that. We probably had 15 to 20 questions of common things like, why can you turn right off of Edgemont on the Highway 79, kind of the basic stuff of Hutto. And so all those answers from that meeting too were available on the mayor's blog. If you go to our website, you can find the mayor's blog. We're going to post all the questions tonight and the answers to those as well. So it's very kind of basic things to know about Hutto that people always are curious to know why things are the way they are, and some of those answers are on that side as well.
Another thought when you mentioned the mayor's blog, with the website, most of you, or I hope most of you, have been receiving Hutto Highlights, which was the electronic newsletter that came out on Mondays. It has a new look now, and hopefully you all have received it. If you are not receiving it, there's a sign-up sheet on the table in the back when you drop your name tags off. Put your name and email address, and we'll be sure that you get on that list. And it's just a great way on a weekly basis to be able to keep up with what's happening in Hutto. Any questions? Oh, that's good. All right. Well, Happy New Year to everyone.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Assistant City Manager Micah. Before we close, I'd like to thank Aaron and Shauna. They're steering this ship until we get our new skipper, and they're doing a great job, and I know that we have total confidence in the board and the city and the staff. Council has total confidence in them too. They've been running a great economic development corporation since Scott was here, and they've been with Scott, and we have no problems with that. We're moving very fast to get our new person in. And also, I like to from time to time, because I can do this, I like to tell you a little story of a couple that I met a few years ago. And they had a little dream, and they decided to believe in Hutto as a community, believe in Hutto as a city, the town council, and everybody. They go out and lease this little place to do their dream to come into reality. Well, if you notice, next to the dollar store, there's a building going on. Well, the couple come up here and introduce yourselves. It is Tiger Rocks, I believe. Now they have bought the land, the building, and everything, and this is what I believe in. You're quite welcome. Introduce yourselves and tell us something about Tiger Rock.
Well, my name's Mark Hatchett. My wife, Karen Hatchett. We started martial arts with our kids, as probably many adults do. Sometimes they want some kind of activity for their kid. They look around, and I was working as a consultant for Dell, and one of the guys I was working with had his kid in a martial arts program, and my kids were young, kindergarten, first grade, and I was like, I'd like to try my kids in that. And he was really talking about the program that they were doing, and we lived in Pflugerville, and they had this little martial arts program there in Pflugerville called Taekwondo Plus, Pflugerville Taekwondo Plus, and so we went over there and checked it out, and this guy was teaching class, and we watched, and he was really energetic. His name was Mr. Aaron Tuck. So I got my kids involved in doing that. And I was sitting out in the lobby like so many parents, watching, going. Every day I'd go with my kids, watching, just going, watching. And here I was about 230, 240 pounds, and I was watching. I'm gonna get in there. And so 2 months later or so, I joined up, and very scariest thing to do to join up. The very first thing, the scariest thing to do is walk through the door and step on the mat. From that point forward, I was hooked, obviously. I went, and I continued to go, and I'd go as often as I could. I was still working full-time, obviously, for a consulting company. I was a systems consultant, and I really loved my job. Really loved what I was doing. got to traveling, had to do a lot of traveling for 5-6 years. I was traveling all over the country. So I was lucky enough to be part of this organization that has all these martial arts schools all over the country, 200 academies across the country. And I was lucky enough everywhere I went for work, there happened to be one of our academies, not too far away. I might have to drive an hour or so, but, you know, an hour, and I'm halfway across the country, and I can go an hour away, and I can work out and learn what I was learning at my hometown, and I don't have to pay anything more, because I was part of this organization. And that was really intriguing to me, that I was part of something that was bigger than just one little martial arts program, and that I could go visit other schools and learn what I was learning. So I was able to continue my training. I would train wherever I was for 2 or 3 times a week. I would book my flight home on Friday so that I would be back in time to get off the plane, drive directly to my academy, take an evening class, take that class, get up in the morning, go Saturday morning, take class, and then I would sleep the rest of the day. And then get up Sunday morning and spend a little time with the wife. And then hop back on a plane Sunday evening and head out again. It was a long time, and it's what I did, and I really enjoyed it. Well, I got through with traveling. I told my company, I said, I can't travel anymore. I'm just tired of traveling. So, because I spent 5 years doing it, and they said, okay. And I started being more of management. I was a systems consultant manager, so I had 15 people under me that I was managing. Then I went into a sales management role. And then we had that bomb of the decline in the economy, and things in the IT world just weren't going at the pace that I liked. It was like, okay, everything's great, and obviously everything's getting faster, getting smaller. That's cool, but technology wasn't improving as fast as, you know, it's just the same thing, just smaller, faster. So I was kind of getting burned out of that. And I said, you know, my instructor, Mr. Aaron Tugg, his instructor, Senior Master Johnson, and many years before, when I first got my first black belt, he put a bug in my ear. He goes, when are you going to open up your academy? I said, ain't no way. You know what I'm making over here? Ain't no way I'm gonna do that. It's just financially just not gonna. I didn't see that was something I would ever do. But then I got burned out on what I was doing. I went, you know what? I wanna look around. I think I want to open up my own academy. I want to start small. I'm gonna part-time it, do a couple hours, you know, teaching class, get what I like, build it up, you know, and then one day transition from my full-time job to a full-time academy ownership. Well, I think things happen for a reason. I really believe in that. I got to Hutto, I found a place, I opened it up. The Friday, I think it was the Friday before, I opened on Monday. The company I worked for went bankrupt. I was out of a job. Wasn't sure I was going to get my last paycheck. Wasn't sure if I was going to get my 60 hours or plus however many vacation hours I had accumulated from the years and years and years. I was like, really? Really? But things happen. What did that force us to do? All in. All in. And luckily we have the support of our family that carried us for the time that we needed to be carried to help us pay our mortgage, help us put food on the table while we got our business up off the ground. And it took probably about 6 months or so before we got to a point where we were breaking even on one aspect of the company, but we still needed our help. And then we just kept building and building, and the support of the Hutto community, kept doing what we were doing, believed in what we were doing, and sure enough, we built it. It was coming. And we moved from one little suite, we expanded to 2 suites within the first year, doubled our size. And then our after-school program was kicking in, and we said, we got to get more, we got to get these after-school kids out of our lobby. We parents aren't really happy with that. So we go on another suite to host our, to at least get our kids out of the lobby for the after-school program. And we built upon that, and it just kept on growing, kept on growing. And we've taken that aspect and said, you know, we've outgrown this facility, we've outgrown this parking, and our ultimate dream was always to have our own facility and our own location to build it the way we would want to build it, and have something that would last a long time in the community. And that's where we have that dream. Did I realize this dream was going to come as fast as it did? No, but I'm glad that it did, because timing is everything, and I believe, like I said, I think things happen for a reason, and I think the timing has just kept moving us forward, and with the support of everybody, and especially my wife, sticking by my side. If you could imagine going from never seeing me except for maybe 3 hours a week to working side by side 24/7, what a transition that is. But I couldn't ask for a better partner in that, and I think we've grown closer because of that. So if you don't work with your partner 24/7, and you think you can't do it, you can. It takes compromise, and you got to separate your personal life from your business life a little bit. But it does work. It can work for you. So I'm glad to be here. I'm glad that we're building our facility here. It is our dream, and I hope that it's going to be here for a long time. And I hope that, as I did, that many of you might go, how much did he weigh before? And it's cool. Martial arts is cool. A lot of people think that martial arts is this MMA, that we're going to beat you up, we're going to hit you with our elbows and punch you in your face, and you're going to get all bloody and bruised, and that's not what it's about. That's at least not in our aspect of it. Our aspect of it is getting in shape, getting fit, learning a skill set, having mind, discipline, focus, concentration. As we grow older, we start forgetting things. Well, that's because we're not using our minds. And martial arts helps you use your minds in a different way. It's like doing crossword puzzles. You got to learn how to do stuff. You got to learn how to step, how to move, and that all activates our minds. So it's a great way of combating some of our, as we get older, aspects of life.
Mario, you didn't know what you're getting into.
Thank you so much. I have to tell you, back, how I met them was back old time days. You see all these little kids going around. Mario, can we borrow some electricity at your place? Yeah, go, run, have a good time. But thank you. That's what a business is all about, coming into Hutto and really sticking with us. We'll support you as much as we can.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. All right, well, that's it for today. Next month we have Mick Northington. He's the Texas Workforce Commission. He will be our guest speaker next month. Thank you so much, and this is 2013. We're rocking and rolling, and let's get it going.